a wonderful day. Today's Thursday, March 1st. It was sunny, yay! And it was about 48 degrees outside. No wind, no rain. It was wet though because it's just been god awful for the last 4 months, 5 months. Well, whenever November started, it's rained. We've had just a handful of really nice days. Actually, not even really nice days. We've had a handful of days that had some sun. The other times it's just been rain, it's been cold, wet, dark, just so dark. Starting on the cheap this year, I'm going to do a few experiments on some less expensive ways to use things around the house. I've always been one for recycling, reusing, figuring out different things that I could use for things that I find on sale and on clearance, and I've done a really, really good job for years doing it this way. This year I'm going to do a little bit different with my strawberries. Last year, well, about 3 years ago, my husband built me a trug, and it was big, and we put the strawberries in there, but the feral cats, I couldn't keep them out of it. They liked to, because it was in the sun and it was up off the ground, they liked to lay on top of my strawberries and sun themselves. So most of my strawberries got squished, and then the squirrels ate the rest of them, and it was just a nightmare. Even if I put a netting up, the cats would just rip it down and be laying under there. So last year I went ahead and did some strawberries up in the ground. That was a nightmare. The squirrels and the possums ate those, so I didn't have any strawberries other than the ones that I had in a container that was a laundry basket, and you plant strawberries all the way around. Well, the critters ate everything around, so I only had the few plants that was up on top. So this year I'm getting rid of that, and I'm going old school the way I did 20 years ago. I put my strawberries in pots and hung them up like away from all the critters. And so this year what I'm going to do is, I had gone by the Dollar Tree. They have a lot of times really cool stuff. It is cheaper, on the cheaper side. You know, it's not huge, but for me, I thought, you know, I'm going to try this. So I bought 20 wire hanging baskets. There's not any insert to it. So it's just a wire basket. And I'm going to build an insert out of brown paper bag, half of brown paper bag, and a plastic bag that we can't get in the city anymore. But I have some saved up to make a container to hold the dirt. Now, this won't work if you hang them outside where they're going to get wet, because the paper is just going to disintegrate, but I'm going to keep mine under cover. I'm not going to put any drain holes in these. I want them to be able to hold on to the moisture. So it's going to be very, very carefully watered, because if you overwater, of course, you're going to drown your roots, and if you underwater, of course, you're going to dry the plant out. So I'm going to have to really be watching these, and it's more of an experiment, but I've done it before in the past, and it worked just fine. So that's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to show you how I make these real quick. So I ran back to the store and picked up some another package of bare root strawberries, and I wanted to show you how I fix the roots and get them cleaned up and what they actually look like. They don't look like much. They're just bare root. They're usually stuck in straw or sawdust, whatever, to keep the roots moist. These roots are still moist. They did go through a really bad freeze because we got cold last week, so they're pretty much dormant. So there's a rubber band on them usually, and you don't want to keep these rubber band up too long, because what will happen is any moisture that's stuck in these root balls will end up getting moldy. So what I do, get my clippers here. What I do is I go and I clip off all the old pieces of leftover. So there's usually one, sometimes there's not any leaves on these, but there's the crown. The crown is right here. So you don't want to cut this crown, but you want the roots to be about 4 inches. And what I do is I just cut off the ends of these roots. What that's going to do is that's going to stimulate all these roots, and they're going to say, oh, I got cut, so I'm going to grow new roots. So this one's clean. I get a bowl. Now you don't want to have your roots, or your crown, you don't want to have your crown underwater. So I get just one of my little bowls, and I dip the roots on both sides, but I keep my crown above the water level. I don't know if you can see that. There you go. So here's my crown. The water level's just at the base. My roots now have been dipped and soaked, and then I pull my crown up so that it's up out of the water. And I'll go and clip all these out, and some crowns are bigger than others, so just be careful that you're not damaging any of the new leaves that are coming out or cutting yourself, because these snips are really sharp. And then I go down and about 4 inches, just cut the roots off, and then again dip it in the water, make sure the roots get soaked, and keep the crown up. And I'll work my way around the bowl. And I'm going to take care of doing this, and then I'll show you what it looks like when I get done. Now, I did get 12 of them. One of them is really, really tiny. I do not know if it's going to sprout, but we'll see. So what I'm doing is I've already had to fill this bowl up twice in the last just 10 minutes because the roots are just sucking the water up. And I do use a lukewarm water, not hot, not ice cold, but warm. And within 2 days, there'll be leaves on these and sprouted, and then I will put them in the dirt like I did the other ones. Now I do put a piece of wet paper towel over the top to keep the top of the roots from drying out, and that keeps the moisture in with the root ball. Have my dollar store basket and my half of brown paper grocery bag, and you're going to press it in and hold down so that you make a little paper pot. So we're actually making a little paper basket. There we go. Now, where the holes are, or where your hooks are for your hanging basket, make sure you cut just down so that the paper goes around each hook. You don't need all this extra here. And right, so that the hook, you don't bury your hooks. And then that one will be fine. There we go. Okay. Now we take one of our plastic bags, because I don't throw hardly anything out if I can use it. And it's funny, these plastic bags are actually HDPE plastic. They're number 2. They are okay for food, so it's not going to hurt for a season of growing these strawberries. And the paper on the outside will keep this plastic from disintegrating because the light will not be able to hit it. Okay, so now we go ahead, get my gloves on here. Yes, Frodo, I know the laundry's done, thank you. When the dryer turns off, the cats come and tell me that the laundry's done. So Mr. Frodo was on it today. That's about, I'm using a 2-cup measuring, so that's about 6 cups of soil. No, I'm not going to get the laundry yet, Mr. Frodo. Thank you. No. It can wait. And then I'm going to take the big, and it's already, just in 2 days, it's already setting out new white roots on this strawberry. Try to get the, without hurting them too bad, pull the roots out a little bit and get them separated as much as possible. There we go. And I think I'll put another baby one in here too. This one's, well, this one's got a lot of new roots. It really decided to wake up. this one in here. Now you don't want to bury the crown on your strawberries because you will rot it. So make sure that the crown stays up on top of the soil. And then give it a good pokey down. And firm it in real good. So that the roots make contact. Okay, and then now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and trim up this bag. Now for me personally, I like it a little bit neat. It doesn't have to be perfect because I'm not into these strawberries as a showpiece. I'm into them for food, and so they just need to work. They don't have to be fancy. They're sitting out in the back 40 where all my food crops are. It's not a show garden. It is a working garden. So again, make sure you slice down just enough so that you can come around your hanging pieces so that you can get your plastic around that. Make your little cut. Don't cut too far down. You just want to cut far enough to make sure these hooks come up. Now, what I use, because again, I use whatever I have on hand, I'm using a little bit of duct tape to tape these sides down. You can use whatever type of tape that can handle real sticky. If I had the clear boxing tape, I would use that because it, you know, of course it's clear and you're not going to see it like this duct tape, but I don't have any and I'm using what is on hand. So now it's like doing a pie crust. We're doing our edges. You don't need a lot of duct tape, you just need enough to go in between each rib of your planter. And all I'm doing is just holding down the plastic and the paper. It looks a little bit nicer and neater. This does remind me of doing a pie. When you roll your crust, the only thing you have to do is pinch over here and make it real fancy. 2 more pieces. This year I'm hoping to have strawberries, more than 1 or 2 that the critters haven't managed to get. Now the only problem is being that they're going to be hung up. They're still going to be outside. It might just be a nice fancy dinner plate for the squirrels. So I still might end up getting thwarted. Now let's see here. Okay, so turned out perfect. It reminds me of I don't know, the old fish and chips that I used to get when I was a kid. It would be wrapped in a wrapper. It was a long time ago. Okay, so now since this is done, I give it 2 cups of water. That's all it gets per plant right now. Just enough to moisten the dirt and settle the dirt a little bit, but you don't want to water it too much and flood it in here because it's winter time and they're not going to drink as much, but you're going to have to keep an eye on them. So 2 cups of water in this amount without it draining should be perfect. It should get the soil moist but not soaking. It'll fluff it up, and then we just have to watch it. I have a soil probe coming. Mine broke, so I have another one coming, and it should be here in 2 more days. And what I'll do is I'll put the probe in and I'll check the moisture content And that's how I will water. Is if the probe says it's dry, then I'll water it. If it's not dry, then I'm not going to water it. So I'll be checking it every morning. And then in the summer, of course, I'll have to check it morning and night if it gets hot this year. So far, last year we ran a real cool summer. This summer looks like this winter, the way that it's hanging on, and even the buds are not even breaking. It looks like we might end up with a late summer again this year. So this is how I make it. So what I have is dollar store pot paper bag that I get for my groceries that I paid 5 cents for, but it carries my groceries home. Plastic bags that I still had left over, and I have to go out of town to get them. If I do go out of town, I do get some plastic bags with my stuff, and I save them. So dollar pot. See, the strawberries were 12 for $10, so just under $1 a piece. So that looks like it's about $2.05. And then my soil, a whole bag of soil was $6, and I only use a couple cups out of it. So I'm figuring this was probably probably $3.50. So about $3.50 for this whole pot, and we will see at the end of the season. These are ever-bearing strawberries. We'll see how many strawberries we get per pot for $3.50.